Okay, I think we'll get going. We're just 5 minutes in, and just to say welcome everybody to this session on training and development opportunities for youth work in Wales. I'm Steve Drowley. I'm chair of ETS Cymru Wales, and also a member of the wonderfully named Workforce Development Strategy Participation Group. And more of that later. I'm also a member of the Education Workforce Council. And perhaps more of that later too. Let me introduce the two other people on either side of me who can introduce themselves. So Liz, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Liz Rose. I'm the ETS Wales advisor. So when we visit institutions and universities, I'm the person who coordinates that.
And on my right.
Hello, I'm Rachel Burton and I manage the Youth Community and Play Work team in Athysig-y-Doelion Cymru Adult Learning Wales. So I'm managing the youth support worker qualifications and other CPD units.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel and Liz, for that. The plan, folks, according to the plan anyway, is that we'll do a presentation for about 15 minutes or so about the context and the policy for training and development for youth work in Wales currently. And then we'll try and have at least 15 minutes for discussion and questions at the end. If you'd like to put any comments you might have into the chat as we go, that would be great. So far, it's been really good to have lots of stuff going on in the chat. We'll try and keep an eye on that as we're talking. As you can see, a few people in. That's great. Hello. I think Gwynfor is also in, and Gwynfor, you're providing translation, I think, as we go. So that's great. And people, if you want translation through the medium of Welsh, please go into sessions and click on that, and then you will have simultaneous translation. Unfortunately, the slides we're going to show you, we can only show you in English. We thought we could show them in Welsh as well, but that's not proved possible. But we do have them in Welsh, and we'll make them available to you after the session, if that's okay. Just one other thing, which is we've got some polls, so they're going to be running during this session. We have 3 or 4 questions for you. So if you'd like to go into the polls tab, which is kind of on the right-hand side of your screen, that'd be great, and just fill in our polls, and we'll see what the percentages are of the 28 or so people who are in this session today. So that'll just give us a straw poll. I think I've covered all the things I need to cover with that. Rachel or Liz, was there anything else I was supposed to say in the introduction, or can we just get going on this? Oh, getting the thumbs up. This is great. I should also warn you that because sound is on my screen, periodically my Welsh Springer Spaniel will interpose. She's called Poppy, by the way, in case you want to greet her back. But she does have a loud voice, which she sometimes wants to make use of. So without further ado, into our presentation, Liz, if we could. And I hope, folks, you can all see that. Please do let us know if for some reason you're not able to see things or whatever. And any questions at any stage, please put them in the chat, and we'll try and refer to those. Okay. So where do we start with this? Well, it seems like the sensible place to start is with the Interim Youth Work Board final report. We've heard a lot about that today, and we will be hearing a lot more about it as the Minister responds to that report and the recommendations in that report by the end of the year. Recommendation 13 of that says this, and I'll read it to you. We recommend that the Welsh Government commits to supporting and developing the youth work profession by defining and supporting a career structure that provides coherence for the sector and offers opportunities for progression for individual workers. So what does that mean? Well, we're trying to explore that a little bit as we go forward here. But essentially, it means that if the Minister accepts this, that Welsh Government is going to be supporting the youth work profession. That's the first point. And how's it going to do that? By supporting the career structure that gives coherence to the sector. Estin, amongst others, have on a number of occasions made it very clear that where there are people who are qualified as youth workers, youth support workers, around youth work generally, that the quality of services for young people is improved. So I suppose a starting point for us is that we believe that we as youth workers owe it to young people to get properly trained and properly qualified for what we do. In the same way as we'd expect my dentist down the road to be properly qualified in what she or he does. For youth workers, need to be properly qualified. And the government then would be supporting progression for individual workers. We've been hearing a lot today about the needs of individual young people and individual youth workers. And if we're starting from the ground up, then our training and development strategy should start from the needs and the wants of those who are working with young people, and then from the needs of young people themselves. And as we get into the question and discussion part of this, I'd invite you to start thinking about any points you want to make about how our training and development processes should be constructed and how they can be as close as possible to the needs of youth workers and to the needs of young people. Okay, can we go to the second slide, please? A few things about some of the training organisations, just a quick bit about that. ETS Cymru Wales endorses youth work qualifications on behalf of an organisation called the Joint Negotiating Committee for Youth and Community Work. So we endorse levels 4 to 7, that's for professional youth work, and we endorse youth support work qualifications, that's at levels 2 and 3. Then there is the wonderfully named Workforce Development Strategy Participation Group. Oh my word, there should have been a shorter way of saying that. I'm not quite sure what it could be because it says what it does on the tin and all that. But that's brought together people from right across the youth work sector to think about how we develop a workforce development plan for youth work in Wales. And as you'll see on the screen there, intended for all youth workers, all youth support workers, all volunteers, including qualifications, CPD, apologies for that acronym, in terms of continuing professional development. So basically training, in-house training, as it used to be called. So that's what the WDPG Workforce Development Strategy Participation Group is trying to do. And if you'd like to join us on that, do let us know. Do let us know, as we were hearing earlier on from Keith. Nobody is barred from these. These are open bodies. And then the third group, just to think about that one, the Quivis Workforce Development Group, particular group that brings together organisations right across the voluntary sector to think about opportunities and needs and expertise and so on within that sector. There are other groups as well. If we just go back to that second slide, if that's okay. There are other bodies as well, apart from ETS Cymru, the WDPG and Quivis Workforce Development Group, name check some of them. EWC, the Education Workforce Council, Principal Youth Officers Group, and I did make a note of all these, and of course I've now forgotten them. And Tag Cymru, which is a crucial group, which is the coming together of all the universities that provide HE opportunities for professional workers and further education opportunities for levels 2 and 3. Okay, that's enough from me. That's a bit of background. And now we're going to go on to how the cycle works. And over to Liz.
This is a bit of a, not complicated, but quite a detailed slide, sorry, so I hope you can sort of see the detail. But it was interesting what Keith said about people volunteering in youth work and then perhaps wanting to make a leap into the career of youth work. And if people, this is the structure, as Steve says, that would have parity with teachers, social workers. So this is the official structure of training for youth workers. This circle, basically, it goes around the various levels of complexity. So from level 1 and 2, which would be equivalent to GCSE level, right through to level 7, which is masters. So you can see there is an obvious route of progression here. These initial qualifications would include the Quivis stepping stones, own organisations training, could be the Scouts Guide Zone training, Red Cross, Boys Brigade. You know, a lot of these voluntary organisations provide their own specific training for their organisations, but they're not necessarily JNC qualified, so they're not transferable. Whereas these levels here are classed as JNC recognised because we endorse them, and they're recognised and valid across the UK and Ireland. So if you hold one of these qualifications, you could work anywhere in the UK and Ireland with them. So this talks about the level 2 certificate, level 3 certificate. This qualifies you to be a youth support worker, and these are the training organisations that provide these qualifications and deliver them. Some are local authorities, some are, Rachel can tell you a bit more about the work that they do. Over on this level, this side is higher education, so where you start off with level 4, 5 and 6 at university level, and the recognised JNC qualification for a professional youth worker is a degree, a BA honours degree usually. And again, these are the universities that deliver these qualifications. This one at level 7 is interesting, particularly for the voluntary sector, because there's also a postgraduate certificate, which is about 120 credits at level 7. That's interesting, perhaps, for the voluntary sector, who perhaps people who have other degrees, other qualifications, don't actually want to do a full-time 3-year degree, have lots of experience, and can do a postgrad certificate to get qualified. One of the things that's not showing in here is that some of the universities are now offering a level 3 foundation year prior to starting on level 4. And the level 3 foundation year incorporates the level 3 certificate, so you'd automatically qualify as a youth support worker by doing that. The next slide is, again, it shows the same sort of central structure of progression, but this looks more perhaps at who might be suitable to take this course. So these courses would be perhaps age 14 and up. The level 2 you need to be 16, level 3 aged 18. I think a crucial thing here is if you're working as a youth support worker and that's the role you do, there is no requirement for you to do a degree. It's a perfectly adequate qualification for the role that you're doing. And some people choose to progress, some people don't. But that's the sort of general overall structure. I don't know if there's any questions about anything, or if I think, so I can see Adam's question in there is about bursary. Yes, that's right. Funding is always an issue, I think, for all of this. You know, although the student grants available, I think Rachel can talk a bit more about the funding for level 2 and 3 training, but funding for the professional courses would go through student finance, and it is, you know, do appreciate it's an issue. One of the things I haven't mentioned, on this circle we've got CP, continuing professional development, and we see that as important at all, you know, all these different levels, in that, you know, would be undertaking CPD, whether they just started out in training, or whether they're, you know, working as a manager, you're still doing CPD at all these different levels. So we haven't listed that, as there's so much of it and it's so varied. So this is mainly the qualification structure. So I think that's
okay.
I'll pass on to Rachel.
Yeah, over to Rachel.
Hey, thank you both. Good afternoon, Pnawn Da. I'm presenting this slide here. As I mentioned earlier on, I'm here representing Adult Learning Wales, but there are other providers of the youth support worker qualifications out there. And as part of our induction, we like to give people a bit of an overview of the progression route in youth work. So it's summarising the detail that Liz was just showing you just now. So looking at the polls just now, it's interesting that most of you have some sort of youth work qualification there. So you would be familiar with some of this progression route, I imagine. There's an initial pre-progression qualification, as you can see there, called a stepping stone to youth work. This is a qualification designed by Quivis and Adult Learning Wales, and it is made up of 9 separate units, which allows people who are perhaps chairing a board of a voluntary organisation or just volunteering ad hoc to start with some training in the youth work profession. There's one unit which is safeguarding. There are other units about the role of a youth worker and the role of community development and the role of equality and diversity participation. Most of them are at a level 2. And it's just, you can pick and choose whether you want to do all 9 or 1 or 2 of those. The next qualification, if you are moving along the progression route, is the Award in Youth Work Principles, and that's at level 2. And these are made up of 4 mandatory units, including safeguarding that I mentioned just now, which are needed to be gained in order to then progress on to further training, which will qualify you with a certificate in youth work. This whole slide, as you can see, has various different levels and skills there, and you can see that when you qualify with a certificate in FE at level 2 or level 3 as a youth support worker, you then, if you are being paid to deliver youth work, you then need to register with Education Workforce Council. That is the qualification you need to register first off with Education Workforce Counsellors, and there's another session on with EWC today. And they are the qualifications that begin the progression route in youth work. Education training standards, Steve and Liz and the rest of the group endorse the awarding bodies that provide those qualifications. Athysig Godoilion Cymru use Agored Cymru qualifications, but there are other quals there. And those qualifications, as said earlier on, at level 2 and level 3, allow you to be recognised as a youth support worker across England and Wales. Okay, over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Rachel. Sadly, today, Louise Cook, who is going to be co-presenting with us, is not well. Louise is the Programme Director at Cardiff Metropolitan University for the undergraduate and foundation programmes in youth and community work. What she would have said, along the lines of, anyway, I'll try and do something along those lines, that for professional qualification as a youth worker, there are if you like, 2 levels where you can be professionally qualified. One is level 6, which is when you become a graduate from an undergraduate programme. When you go and do a degree, say at Cardiff Met or at the University of South Wales or at Glyndŵr in Wrexham or at Trinity St David's down in Carmarthen. So that professionally qualified youth worker is at level 6, and there are 3 levels to that, 4, 5 and 6. Get a certificate or a diploma in HE at levels 4 and 5, and then you get your degree and your professional qualification at level 6. But you can also do it through a postgraduate route, and a lot of people who've got a lot of experience in youth work or have got other degrees choose to go by that route, and it's a much quicker way of doing it. It usually takes a year full-time or a couple of years part-time. So those are very good options to look at if you're thinking about it. And recently, one big development, which was really important, is that there is funding available for postgraduate programs, whereas there wasn't before. The usual business, it's loans, so you've got to pay it back. That's the disadvantage. And picking up Adam's point from earlier on, we have been pressing for proper funding of professional youth work qualifications for many years. And maybe this time, Jeremy Miles might respond to that in the same ways for social work and for teaching, for nursing and so on. I think that's probably enough in terms of the various things that we've wanted to put to you. We want to give enough time for some discussion and questions. We've got another slide which gives more information, which we could put up in a moment. And then we've got some links to show you as well. But over to you, really, in terms of questions, discussion points that you'd like to raise, particularly about the We've got 2 requests in the queue here, I see. Let me just get into the... So we have a question, but apologies, just flicking around this. Anybody who can get there quicker than me. Sean says, has the list of professional qualifications been updated? Number of historical qualifications, whoops, suddenly disappeared again. So I've just lost that. Beg your pardon, folks, sorry. Flying my way around. Number of historical qualifications that previously were recognised that are no longer, which means that some staff aren't able to register. Some of these have a number of years experience and up to date with practice. Can I just say, first of all, it doesn't affect your, if qualifications are still valid, whatever happens, they are still valid. Just because you can't register or whatever, if there's a bit of an administrative glitch on that, doesn't mean to say you're not professionally qualified. But just over to Liz on that one, because she is the keeper of the list. So Liz, please, an answer on that one.
I was just going to say the diagram we've shared today is the current situation. And on the ETS website, there's a whole list of historical qualifications that are still recognised because, obviously, if you qualify as a teacher years ago, you're still a teacher. You still hold the qualifications. So I think there are some issues around registration with EWC about recognition of particularly the youth support worker qualifications, but we're still having discussion with them on it. But those historical qualifications are still valid.
And perhaps, Sian, if you can give us any instances of qualifications that you're aware of that where there's been some difficulties, we'll pass those on to EWC and to and make sure that is raised. So thank you for that question. Moving on down, Rachel has posted some stuff in there about Addysg Godoylion and Cymru. So just for another question here from Emma Creston for Rachel. I work as a play worker, but I'm in university doing youth and community work. I want to do my play work qualifications, but I have to pay full price due to the government's double funding policy. Could I ask my employer to pay? In play work, we work with people of youth age as well, so I think it's still relevant in my career, and I'd like to be properly trained in this alongside my degree. Rachel, over to you.
Yeah, fantastic, Emma. Yeah, we would welcome you doing the course, but you're absolutely right. If you're on an HE programme of study currently, then you wouldn't be able to access an FE programme of study that is also funded by Welsh Government, because that would be double funding. You could ask your employer to pay that full funding for the play work qualification, which would be a lot less than the HE programme of funding. So that's an option for you there. Otherwise, unfortunately, it would either be paying full yourself or coming onto the programme after you've finished your HE funding. That is the way in which that works. There is a programme of study called Transition in Play Work at the moment, which will be to play work offered to all people with a level 3. That is a funded project as well by Welsh Government, but again, you'll need not to be on another programme of study at HE. So unfortunately, no, but we would really welcome you because it is a great programme and really relevant to youth workers.
Thank you, Rachel. We'll just go on down through the questions, some really good questions here. Thank you so much, folks, for putting these in. Adam, you'll be very busy today, Adam. This is great, popping up all over the place. It's great to see people taking a real interest in holding our feet to the fire, as it were. Adam says, does the cert DIP-HE qualify people for anything? As it's my understanding, he says, that due to the current legislation, those who have that are under no requirement to register with EWC. I know this has been referenced in the interim report. First of all, to say that the level 4, this is going to sound a bit cute, but the level 4 and the level 5 qualifies you to do the level 5 and the level 6. Now that may sound a bit cute, but it's actually really important that it's part of the progression towards becoming a professionally qualified youth worker. It is an issue, Adam, and one that we're aware of, and we're thinking about what other qualifications or levels there could be that recognise when people get a level 4 or a level 5. A lot of people who do the level 4 actually get their qualification as a youth support worker at the same time. Rachel's organisation works closely with many of the HEIs and provides that level 3 youth support worker qualification as part of. Is that right, Rachel? Have I got that right?
At the end of last year, not this academic year, but the universities are still providing those foundations. Yes, Steve.
Okay, so you watch this space then on that one. But so you can do that at level 4, Adam. Level 5, the qualification, there isn't any particular job role that you qualify for at that point. But as far as I'm concerned, I used to be a program director at Cardiff Met as well, and certainly we would be looking to put people who are level 5 qualified onto some quite serious youth work placements. We'd be recognising their practice, if you like, recognising their skills, but you're right, there is no specific job role that's allocated to that. We might see change as you recognise within the within the report. EWC is onto that one. I'll move on swiftly down if I may, because Claire Jones, Hayley Jones has said, are we able to share any information on how the youth work profession is promoted? Rachel or Liz?
Wales, certainly on their Careers Wales, we've had long debates with Careers Wales, but they don't have particularly good information on this. So if any young people are looking at that, it's not particularly accurate, but they are updating it. So we've got to keep an eye on that. But I think, Hayden was saying that EWC has been going out to various, careers fairs and various different groups and forums to try and promote other careers as part of EWC. So I think, they've been probably the most proactive recently.
Certainly, EWC, the Educators Wales site, Hayley, I'm sure you're aware of that, but other colleagues might not be. Educators Wales on the EWC site, go on it. You can find job opportunities and opportunities for continuing professional development and all sorts of things on there. So do please go on there and see what you can find. Moving on to Claire Jones' question. Thank you, Claire. Why isn't level 4 or 5 recognised as youth support worker?
It was also, Steve, promoting youth work as a career was an issue highlighted in the Workforce Development SPG.
Thanks, Liz. So
Educators
Wales promoting youth work as a career. So going on to Claire's question, why isn't level 4 or 5 recognised as youth support worker? It used to be, Claire. It used to be back in the day. There was a decision by the youth work sector, whatever that means, so certain people within the youth work sector, to actually separate out levels 2 and 3 from the HE training programme. I think that's a debate that we should perhaps rejoin. But currently, you're quite right, unless people do a bespoke level 3 qualification as part of their degree, they aren't recognised as youth support worker. And frankly, that's an anomaly, because you can be registered at level 3 as a youth support worker. But if you've done a level 4, level 5 HE in university, you don't have to register and you don't qualify for anything in particular. So we've got some anomalies there that we need to address. You've got on said
interesting things with that, Steve, is, and Rachel can say a bit more about this, but the level 2 and 3, the nature of the programme is much more practical at level 2 and 3, whereas at level 4, 5 and 6 it starts to become more academic. Although there's placement involved, there's a bit more theory perhaps. And I don't know, Rachel, if you say something more about that.
Yeah, I'd say it was what educators call a spiral kind of program of learning. So, we're starting off in the youth work profession, and we're getting to grips with what it is to be a youth worker delivering in a youth work provision. Whereas as all those things that we learn and the theories we look at level 2 and level 3, you do take onto the HEI progression route then and start look at those at a much deeper level and also do more practice as well. But if you were working in another profession and wanted to support youth provision, it's a good starting place to do your certificate level 2 or level 3, and then consider whether you want to progress on academically and become professionally qualified. So it just goes deeper the further you go on in youth work, I believe.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm conscious that it's 14:25 and we're supposed to finish at 25 past. Just to pick up a couple of things that people have said, Rachel has posted some things in there about playwork level 3 qualification. Adam talking about the sharing of core modules between youth work and other professions. Yes, very good idea, and it does happen to some extent, could happen more for sure. Mick has commented to Adam, if professionals are expected to work together, then they should be trained together. Not sure whether you're advocating that or not there, Mick. USW has a module at level 6 called Interprofessional Practice, where we bring other professions in to deliver, but we need students of those professions together too. We're on the case. Thank you for that, Mick. I think that's the case in other HEIs as well, so we're going well there. Just picking up Liz Griffith's comment, going to be a challenge for new sessional staff who may only be working in youth club setting one evening per week to achieve level 2 and 3 qualifications and to register with EWC. Many of our sessional staff work full-time in other roles during the day, absolutely. In some cases, the time commitment of 26 credits can be equivalent to 3 years of their working hours in a youth club. Liz, good points, well made. I don't know whether Rachel or Liz have got any comments to make on that.
Yeah, it is a good point, Liz, and it's very difficult when you're releasing staff for training as well. And I think I'm really glad you've put that in the chat, because we need to note that and feed that back.
One of the things that some employers have done, Liz, and this might be the case in yours, is actually recognise training as being so important that they actually close provision so that the workers can go on training sessions. Of course, the trade-off for that is that young people don't get the session. So there are some real challenges there, but recognising that. Emma Kate, thank you for your point. In Swansea, she says we have early help hubs, which are an amalgamation of under 11 and over 11 staff, so they train together as a rule. Good stuff there. Lots of overlap. There has always been lots of overlap between play and youth work. Play goes up to 16, and youth work starts at 11. So there's inevitably plenty of overlap, and I think one of the things we could look at is more collaboration between the two sectors. Certainly something that EWC is interested in as well. And anything else? No, I think that's all we've got in the chat. We ought to stop, folks, because there's a short break between now and the next session, and the next session starts in about 10 minutes' time. Can anybody tell me, is there a networking session between now and then, or do we just disappear into the ether?
I think there's a networking session in between now, and we need to go there. But it was very interesting for everybody who contributed to the polls, Steve, to see the number 80% qualified in the room, and 70% of those are professionally, 61% use support worker qualification. It's really interesting, and a dead 50-50 split for any other qualifications. Thank you for contributing there. Thank you.
Thank you, folks, for that straw poll and for being involved. Much appreciated, and enjoy the rest of the conference, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.
Thank you.